What's going on, guys? My name is Andy Wild, owner of the Wild Institute, and I am here to help small window cleaning business owners or pressure washing business owners build multi six-figure and seven-figure companies. This is about how to handle objections when you're doing quotes, because we all know how frustrating it is to have to deal with this. So I can tell you right now, we're going to go over 3 facts before we begin. One, go for no 5 times at every door. When a customer says no, go 4 more times. 2 no's, 3 more, right? You want to go for no 5 times. Why? 92% of sales pros give up after the 4th call. And yet 80% of prospects say no before they say yes 4 times. So it's that 5th ask that actually gets it going, right? So go for 5 rejections in a row. Okay, number 2 is forced answers. Never ask a customer a yes or no answer, because you're probably going to get a no. You want to ask a forced answer, right? How do you feel about that? What would you say if? Are you leaning more towards a specific blank, right? These are questions that force an answer. And it doesn't matter if you're doing residential or commercial. This is how you overcome objections. So make sure also that you ask for the job, okay? Make sure also that you ask for the job, right? Go for no 5 times. Make sure that you ask open-ended questions and then ask for the job. Literally ask, because I see so many people go through their whole pitch, but they don't ask, hey, I really want to do this. How can I make that happen for you? That's literally it, right? So here are some that you see. It's too expensive. I have to talk with my husband or wife. I don't make the decisions in the moment, right? Okay, so this is the top 6 objections that you're going to run into, and I'm going to roll through them in order, starting with I don't want to quote. So in every case, you want to make sure that you validate. You want to make sure that you have a forced answer question, right? Not a yes or no. And then you're going to want to go for the ask, right? So as you can see here, you've just approached this guy at his door. Let's say you're going door to door. This is primarily for door to door. And you say, hey, I want to give you a quote. And he's standing there and he goes, I don't want a quote. Totally understand. Totally get it, man. Look, how would you feel if I left my pricing behind? What would you say if I were to leave a brochure behind for when you need it next time? If I were to throw in a free service or 2, how would you feel about that? If I left a quote behind in your mailbox, how would you feel about that? When would be a better time to connect with you? So when a customer does not want to quote, your goal is not to convert them into a job in that moment. Your goal is to first be able to give them a quote, not convert them in the moment, give them a quote. Then when they get the quote, you convert them into a job, right? So if somebody is really not having it, then you can go, I'm going to leave a quote behind. Is that all right with you? Or better yet, how do you feel about that? Can I leave a quote behind? That's yes or no. This is the ask section, right? I'd really love to leave a quote behind. If you ever need me in the future, how can I make this happen for you? Okay. So by asking these questions, you open up many doors, as opposed to yes or no, right? In most cases, it's no if you just ask yes or no. Okay. And feel free to pause at any point here, guys. Number 2, I don't have time right now. Same validations for everyone. I totally understand. I completely respect that. How would you feel if I just left my pricing behind? What would you say if I left my pricing behind and I connected with you at a later date? I would love to get your number and connect with you in the future. How would you feel if I took your details right now? I would love to leave a quote behind. How could I do that? Again, you are not trying to convert them right now because they don't have time. Your goal in this moment is not to convert. Your goal is to give a quote. Okay. I would love to do this work for you. How can I make that happen? I'm going to leave a quote behind. Is that all right with you? Those are the asks, right? You just repeat these. And if a customer says no 5 times and they're not the one for you, go to the next house. Finally, the last free quote is, I'm renting and I can't make decisions about services. So guys, this is a little bit different, right? That's when you go, you get the landlord details, right? That's the goal. I totally understand. I completely respect that. I totally get the limitations of renting. And instead of going for a forced answer, just go straight to the ask. I would love to speak with your landlord. Can you provide me with his or her contact details? And if you don't get that, move on, right? Because if there's anyone that is really not going to convert into even a quote, it's this one. Finally, and the most common is, it's too expensive. Your prices are too expensive, dude. They're way too much. They're too high. We've all heard this before, right? Same thing, validating. However, in this instance, you have given them a quote. You have said, can I give you some pricing? And they said, sure. This is after you've given them pricing. And you go, I totally understand that, completely respect that. Now, this is where you go to convert that quote into a job, right? You're not converting into a quote, you're converting into a job now. How would you feel if right? Your prices are too expensive. How would you feel if I combined a couple services so we could reduce the pricing? What would you say if I was able to combine some services? Are you leaning more towards a specific service? Was there a specific service you had in mind? Was there a specific number that you had in mind? So you can see here, guys, that this is simply opening up questions. Again, we're not doing yes or no. And I'm telling you, if there was anything that really super contributed to my success, it's being able to overcome objections. Because every single time you approach somebody, whether they want a quote or not, there is always going to be objections. So if you approach 1,000 people and you know how to overcome objections, then you are going to have way higher chances of converting them, right? So how about, are you more interested in X service or Y service, right? They say, oh, it's too expensive. I totally understand. So quick question, out of curiosity, would you be more interested in the window cleaning or the gutter cleaning? It forces an answer, right? And then you can move from there. Are you leaning more towards what's coming up for you right now? What concern are you having right now? It sounds funny to ask somebody who said it's too expensive. You say, what concern are you having right now? And then they'll actually go into that actual detail of why they think it's too expensive, or what specifically is too expensive, or why they're having a hard time, right? How would you feel if I threw in free skylight cleaning and downspout flushing with the gutter cleaning? How would you feel about that? That's essentially another $100 offer that I'd be happy to give you for free. Could we work together on that, right? And then you can go move into the ask. This is where it really comes into play. I would love to do that for you. How can we make this happen, right? Some people would say, oh, well, I really want to do a discount. I completely understand that. I normally don't do discounts. However, how about this? I would love to throw in the skylight cleaning and downspout flushing and call it even at $300 cash, right? Or I would love to make this work for you. How can I do that? I would love to get this booked in for you. Which day and time works best for you? These are your asks. And you want to go for, between the forced answer questions and asks, you want to go for 5 no's or 5 rejections, right? So this is the most common. You will be inadvertently practicing this the most when you approach customers who say it's too expensive. By the way, as a little pro tip on this, not every customer is going to be your customer. Some people are just super dang cheap. Skip them. They're not your people. There's 1,000 other people in that neighborhood, and then 1,000 more neighborhoods after that. Okay. I don't make decisions in the moment. I put like one of those king stoic guys in there, because you'll always get those corporate guys that are like, I never make a decision in the moment. Totally understand that. I completely respect that, right? Now, know that these people are usually making a decision in their mind at that time, but they're very difficult to convert in the moment. So that's why the goal is to convert into a job, or actually commit, both of you commit to a time slot that you will speak at the next time. Then you can both commit on that. If this person is committing to never making a decision in the moment, then they are likely the person to commit to a time slot in which they can talk again, right? I would love to finalize this for you. How can I make that as easy as possible? Boom. That's a very easy forced answer question. If I tentatively book this for you next week while you decide, how would you feel about that? Are you leaning more towards blank, right? Are you leaning more towards a certain service? Are you leaning more towards a certain price mark? I would love to make this work happen for you. How can I do that? Technically, that's an ask as well. When you are a good to go on this service or services, when would be the best time to get you booked in? Forced answer. Was there a specific that you had in mind? If I threw in blank and blank blank, how would you feel about that? Would you feel like you would be getting slightly closer to booking right now? That's yes or no. You could say, how would you feel about booking next week if I threw in blank and blank, right? How would you feel if, and what would you say if I, right? These are all forced questions, no yes or no. And then finally, if you do get through to this kingly stoic dude, then it's going to come down to, I would love to book this work for you. How can I make that happen? That's an ask. I would love to get this booked in for you. Which day and time works better for you? Now, the ask can be yes or no, right? So long as the forced answer and ask is cumulative, right? Make sure that these add up to at least 5 rejections or 5 no's, because you're going to get way closer to getting that yes at the end of those 5 things, right? I'm confident you'll love the results. What day this week would work for an appointment? I'm personally committed to making your windows look fantastic. When can I begin? Right? These are asks, right? And again, you're going for 5 rejections, at least 5 rejections. Finally, we all know this one. We all know this one. I know this one. I have to talk with my husband or wife. Now, odds are you have probably used this line as well. But the thing is this, when it comes down to this rejection, they're simply, sure, they may need to talk with them, but because, maybe they connect and they talk about finances together, but you have to also understand that this is a very, very good out. And you can still offer them an out while booking the job, right? So this is convert into a job or book the next best time to talk when they're both home, because you want to talk with both of them at the same time. That way you're not playing telephone tag, right? So let's start by this, right? I totally understand. I completely respect that. I understand timing is important. I have to talk with my husband. What do you think he or she would say? Forced answer. How do you think he or she would feel about the quote? How do you think he or she would feel about blank and blank pricing if pricing was a concern, or blank and blank services if a specific service was a concern, right? You can feel that out in the moment. These should all be relaxed conversations, not rushing, not like the fast rushing energy I have right now because I'm really passionate about this. When do you think you would want something like this to be scheduled, right? When do you think you would want something like this to be scheduled, right? Or scheduled in the future? Which service do you think they would lean towards? They being the husband or wife, right? Girlfriend or boyfriend. Which service do you think, name of husband or wife, would need to book sooner than later? What concerns would they have, right? You're asking them to ask what they would have, right? And you can even go a step further to say, what are you going to say to your husband and wife? Or even better, what are you going to recommend to them to do based on what you see here? Now, finally, the ask. If I tentatively book this for next Friday, and you can cancel at any time, just to get it in the calendar, how would you feel about that? What would you say if I tentatively book this for next Thursday at 3 p.m. while you are still deciding? You can cancel at any time, right? When would be the best time to call back and speak with both of you, right? So those first 2 ones, why is it important to get this booked in, even if it's tentative, right? Because even if they cancel, you can still go door knocking. But if they book it, why is it important that they tentatively book it in? The reason is this. When somebody says, yes, book that, or yes, tentatively book that, either way, the subconscious mind, both times, is committing to that time slot, So if I said to you, hey, your car needs an oil change, come on down to Andy Wild's oil change garage. If you're still deciding, that's cool. Why don't I tentatively book you for next Tuesday at 12 p.m. while you still decide, or while you wonder if that's a good time, or while you try and figure out your schedule. When I book that and then I send you a booking email, you are already subconsciously committing to it because you said yes. And the fact that you said cancel anytime leaves that person with the feeling of being like, oh, okay, I can cancel at any time. And I can tell you right now that rarely do people cancel so long as you send them a booking email and call them the day before, right? Because they're committing, and then more commitment logs or ammunition, whatever, like stock in the fire, then the more committed they are, and further, and then they're like, oh, you know what, Henry, let's just get it done. You know what, Sarah, let's just get it done. Finally, go for no as many times as possible. I wanted to say this is a final thing. This is really strictly about your mindset, okay? So if you approach a house and you're like, oh God, I'm really going to bother these people, they're going to open the door and they're going to get your energy and they're going to be like, this guy's bothering me. But if you approach the door with the mindset of being like, I'm here to help these people. I'm here to rejuvenate these people's property. I'm here to clean their gutters out so it doesn't flood their property. I'm here to clean their windows to let in more light and allow more happiness. And whatever you have to tell yourself that is true, this is the whole purpose of home service businesses, right? When you approach the door, you must instill your mindset of saying, I am here to help this person. Because when you say, I am here to help this person, it comes across to them as, this person is confident. They're speaking with conviction. They're speaking with passion. They're here to help me. They're not here to bother me. They're here to help me. If you enjoyed this, great. I'm Andy. I own the Wild Institute, and I'm here to help home service business owners, primarily you exterior cleaners, build multi-six-figure and seven-figure companies. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. Hopefully this helped out a lot. And if you think of anybody who could also benefit from this video, invite them over.